Hello viewers, welcome to episode 2 of our discussion on navigating cloud in the generative AI era. Hope you found episode 1 insightful. In case you missed episode 1, the link of the same is in the description box below. Do check out. Now let's continue our discussion with our panelists Bhaskar, Piyush, Raj and Guru. Let's kick off the episode 2 of our conversation with you Bhaskar and discuss what are the new skill sets that are essential for cloud professionals to thrive in the generative AI era? And how can organizations bridge the skill gap and upskill their workforce?
Excellent question, Sneha. So in the Gen AI era, right, the cloud professionals need to acquire a number of new skills, I would say. But I would kind of put it into two broad buckets. One is the core concepts. They are a bit theoretical in nature also at times. And the second one is more related to the role that particular professional is playing, right? Whether that professional is more into data, more into deployment, more into evaluating models, etc. So there would be some variation as we go through. But I think the core concepts are very, very important to develop the fundamental understanding of Gen AI. It is important to understand what is AI, what is machine learning, what is deep learning, how it is different from generative AI. It is important for cloud professionals to kind of grasp concepts like neural networks, deep learning, transformers, what is pre-training, what is fine-tuning of models, and of course understand about prompt engineering pretty well, how to kind of fetch responses from a foundation model, what is retrieval augmented generation. So I would believe all these concepts everyone should go through, where no matter what role they are playing in, they should go through these core concepts in depth to develop a good understanding around the whole generative AI area. And at times it would be good to kind of get into the basics of vector database, how embeddings work. So these all are essential and are the foundation to work on generative AI based application. Now coming to the other aspect where roles will also play a part. I would say people who are more into data model creation, fine tuning, pre-training, the data science and engineering skills is where those people need to focus on how to manage large data sets, how to kind of pre-process data for AI models, right? Skills in data cleaning, transformation, techniques such as normalizing or feature scaling, and optimizing model performance would be very, very valuable for people who are more into the data side of application development when it comes to Gen AI. When it comes to AI model development and deployment, right, the cloud knowledge of how to train and deploy the AI models would be significant. So understanding of services, for example, if you look at AWS, then AWS Bedrock, SageMaker, Amazon Q. If you are looking at Azure, then understanding how Azure Cognitive Services work, right? How you can leverage Azure Cognitive Search and Azure Cognitive services overall to develop Gen AI powered applications would be essential. So this is more of app dev area of things, and frameworks like LangChain, I would say would be a good skill to kind of add if someone is really looking at becoming a developer who is developing applications, customer facing applications, and would be consuming the models while developing those applications. And needless to say, right, I think someone in the earlier conversation in part 1 touched upon ML ops. So ML ops will be very, very important. You need to carry forward the DevOps principle, the CI/CD pipeline concepts. Automation skills would be essential in streamlining the AI model training, deployment, and monitoring processes, right? So all that would play an important role. In terms of organization infusing AI as a skill, upskilling their teams, I think it is again important to kind of have a clear strategy, understand what the organization's play is, where they want to focus more. The first step I would recommend an organization to do would be to create an AI or a Gen AI competency practice community and start experimenting with Gen AI. Look at specific training and certification programs. If someone is focused on purely AWS, then look at AWS certified machine learning specialty courses or achieving competencies related to Gen AI for those specific cloud providers. I think that would give them a path in terms of upskilling all their employees in that area and getting acquired those skills. And then hands-on projects, hackathons, collaboration internally would really help upskilling people on Gen AI. So these are some of the points that I had, Sneha.
Great. Thanks, Bhaskar. I think those were some great key takeaways for people trying to, upskill themselves on generative AI. So my next question for you is for you, Piyush, is what strategies could the CSPs adopt to differentiate themselves in the competitive generative AI cloud market, and how can they balance the innovation and with security and compliance?
Yeah, absolutely. So we also have Guru on this panel. So, we have been fortunate enough to have a very strong ecosystem of our partners have been working extensively with the CSPs. And I think, for CSPs also, Gen AI has been a key inflection point, and it continues to be a very critical area where they are investing. I think one of the things which earlier, Bhaskar also talked about, training skill development. CSPs, need to make sure that they are able to attract the developer community, right? And that's where most of the CSPs as a partners are investing in. And how does that help is that, the more developers start using the CSP platform, the more innovation they start bringing to these platforms and to the CSPs. And therefore, I believe that is the number one thing. And for the CSPs, make sure that they have a very strong developer community and are giving the right tools and platforms for the developer community to continue to drive innovation. Second thing is the ecosystem of partners. I think in today's world, the pace at which this technology is evolving and the expectation, it's difficult for any one player to drive everything, right? And if we see, be it AWS or Google or even Microsoft, they have heavily invested in ecosystem of partners, be it Anthropic, Cohere, or even OpenAI, and that continues to be a key focus area for these players, driving innovation, which is very industry focused, right? I was earlier talking to one of the key stakeholders and on the customer side, and they said that don't come back with very generic use cases. Talk about use cases which are specific to my environment and also specific to my role, right? So that's the kind of focus area we need to bring in, and CSP should focus on. I think there are challenges, while we talked about security, data privacy, I think CSPs are best placed to take care of this. Earlier also, when migration to cloud was happening, I remember one of the CSPs did mention the amount of dollars I am investing in securing your data is something which no one as an enterprise customer will be able to match. So don't worry about security of your data in my cloud. Right, but I think there are other challenges which we also talked about. Customers want transparency and explainability of the Gen AI processes. Where are you running? How are you running? And I need to understand the process. Right, there are ethical biases which needs to be taken care of. Customers are extremely sensitive about these things. In the past, we have seen things going wrong. That is something which the CSPs have to make sure is taken care of if we have to increase the adoption of Gen AI as a technology, right? So those are the key ones I would want to talk about. Yeah.
Great. Those are some great insights. Thanks, Piyush. Now talking about the most common agenda for all the organizations, that is cost optimization. My next question is for you, Guru. How can organizations optimize costs while leveraging generative AI in the cloud? And what are some of the key cost drivers? And how can they be managed effectively?
Yeah, sure. Sneha, before I jump into the cost optimization conversation, I'll just pick up on a couple of points which Piyush mentioned. Specifically with respect to compliance and local availability, what we have done is we have made Amazon Bedrock with the latest models of Anthropic such as Claude 3 available in the BOM region today. So any customer in India will be able to safely access with all the data and the models being available within India, and data does not leave the country, and even for processing purposes. That is one thing I wanted to mention. And second point is, again, Piyush made a very important point of developing responsible AI, and one of the biggest challenges we have been facing with generative AI is even if you leverage something like a RAG implementation, there is a significant scope for the model to hallucinate. And today you really don't know whether the model is picking up data and context from the RAG content, or whether it is going to answer you from the data on which it was trained, right? So typical hallucination problem. So just as of July 10th, Amazon announced as a part of Amazon Guardrails features, two specific features called as grounding and relevance, which helps to address hallucination and which helps customers to configure the LLM output in such a way that they will be able to capture if it's going to hallucinate and stop the hallucinating answer and say that, hey, I don't know the answer to this problem. So that's a big advancement we have made in terms of helping customers stop LLMs giving hallucinating answers. Right. So I just wanted to mention those 2 points with respect to security compliance as well as with respect to innovation.
Guru, just one quick point I wanted to mention with the recent CrowdStrike Microsoft incident. I think resiliency will become a very critical factor going forward. So that's another thing which CSPs have to make sure the infrastructure and services are resilient.
Yeah, absolutely, Piyush. Resiliency is one of the core pillars of what we call as the well-architected review, and we help customers use what we call as the WAR framework to ensure that whatever they build is highly secure and resilient. And to that effect, we have also launched another region in Hyderabad to ensure that there is very high levels of resiliency that we offer to customers. Now about costs, I'll again just take a step back to talk about AWS cost optimization philosophy and then address the point on generative AI costs. So as of September 2023, AWS reduced prices of its services by about 134 times since its launch in 2006. And we expect to continue to lower prices in 2024 as well, and for many years to come. And our pricing philosophy is to work relentlessly to take costs out of our own infrastructure and pass on those cost savings to our customers in the form of lower prices, right? And with respect to generative AI, everyone knows that the GPU costs are really, really high, and what we have been doing is to abstract that cost out and see what's the best way to help reduce those costs. And we have been able to do that in two broad ways. One is coming out with a platform like Amazon Bedrock, which I'll talk about in a second. And second is, innovating on the silicon side of things as well. We've come out with two new chipsets called as AWS Trainium and Inferentia for model training and inferencing capabilities. So on the first point about Amazon Bedrock, that's at the core of our offering. By making the most powerful foundational models, such as Anthropic's Cloud 3.5 and 3 models, available as a managed serverless API out of Bedrock, it greatly helps to abstract out the need to procure a GPU and then deploy the model on the GPU and so on. So that's probably today the simplest and the fastest path to leveraging LLMs to scale and to productionize applications in the fastest way possible. So Bedrock and the other tools around Bedrock, they really provide a fast way to productionize generative AI applications through integrations with the enterprise data through techniques like RAG. The second is, for running these machine learning models, let's say, for example, customers would still want to have a GPU and deploy a customized version of a particular LLM on a GPU as opposed to taking a shared inferencing model through Amazon Bedrock. We have got what is called as Amazon EC2 Inf2 instances, which is powered by AWS Inferentia chips. And today they offer the lowest cost inferencing in EC2 while delivering up to 4 times higher throughput and up to 10 times lower latency compared to the first generation of Inferentia chips called as Inferentia 1. We have extended the same thought process to model training as well. So to help customers be even more cost effective when they want to train their deep learning and machine learning models, we've come out with what is called as AWS Trainium chips, which today offer the most cost effective way to train machine learning models, and that is about 4x faster training performance than our earlier generation of training one chips. So these are the ways in which we have been helping customers reduce cost and be able to adopt generative AI across all their use cases.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Guru. That was really well explained. My final question for this episode is for you, Raj. Given the sensitive nature of data used in generative AI, what are the primary security and privacy challenges, and how can the enterprises address these challenges while not sacrificing innovation and agility?
Great question, and I think pretty much everybody touched on data privacy and security, and I guess Piyush touched quite a bit on that as well earlier. If you look at the adoption, you gave some data points earlier, Sneha, in terms of what we are seeing in terms of AI investments. Definitely, there is a significant race towards capturing this opportunity. Some do not want to fall behind their competitors, so they are also on that journey, still trying to figure out. A lot of experimentation is happening. But as organizations are adopting more of these technologies, many organizations are starting to recognize that they must be a little bit more careful around sustainable, making their AI sustainable as well as responsible. So if we look at it now, more businesses are now sharing the outcomes of their AI models with business partners, or customers are leveraging those, right? So they must extend the same care and consideration to those outcomes as they would do for any other product or service that they offer to the market. So that means that they have a responsibility to do AI the right way on behalf of anyone who may be impacted of these models directly and indirectly. And Piyush touched on inclusivity and fairness as an example, right? So if you look at it, fundamentally, three things that I would say. One, security and integrity of the AI data sets and models to ensure that the outcomes are aligned to what the business is looking at. They need to verify the inputs that has been going in, right? So if data has been corrupted, or the outcomes could have significant impact. So they need to put in rigorous check in place to ensure data security and integrity is maintained. Data poisoning can happen intentionally or unintentionally, and you're also integrating external data sources as well. So definitely a lot of thoughts need to go in there. The second aspect is also being a good steward of partner data. So it's not just your own data that you're using. Sometimes you're also integrating with data sharing partnership, for example, that you could have. So you depend on your partner's data, but then it's also your responsibility to ensure that their data is also secure and protected as well. Similar to what you would put in as an effort to protect your own data. So protecting third-party data from unauthorized access is definitely going to be very, very key. So that could also have serious implications, right? You could have penalties, you could have reputational risks as well. So definitely a key aspect. Then double-clicking on what Piyush touched earlier in terms of inclusivity and fairness, right? More models are being used to make decisions that could impact real people, right? And real lives around. So it's also to ensure that models are not biased based on a certain set of data that has been given, which may not be complete. So the fairness of the data that goes in need to be quite an important aspect to be considered as well, right? So we need to ensure that certain subsets are not overrepresented or underrepresented in the data set. So that can also be a key consideration. So basically, if you think about the implications, if you feed in the wrong data, it will give the wrong conclusion. It can be either intentional or unintentional. So securing the data is going to be very, very important. A key aspect to it would be, the data architecture. How we are building your data architecture around this is going to be very, very important. Also, putting sensitive data at risk. One of the key things that we are also starting to see as organizations start scaling and they're starting to use their own proprietary data set is around a concept of private AI strategy. Definitely there is a lot of innovation that is coming in, from the ecosystem around, but organizations are also looking at private AI as a strategy to safeguard some of these elements as well. So they are trying to control, to meet some of the data sovereignty and residency requirements as well. So again, industry dependent, use case dependent, it is going to be quite an important aspect. Secure connectivity, again, is going to be very important, be it your data is on a distributed, operations, edge, cloud, private dedicated network connections and optimal way of interconnecting would be very, very important. So again, fundamentally, with the right data architecture, you can get the right data to the right places and definitely get the best outcome for the business. And all that without losing control of the data. That's going to be quite an important aspect for enterprises to consider.
Sure, I think that was really nicely covered and explained. With that, it is a wrap on this episode of Tech Talks with NASSCOM Insights. Viewers, hope you enjoyed this discussion on navigating cloud in the generative AI era. Thanks a lot our panelists Guru, Bhaskar, Piyush and Raj for sharing such interesting insights. Viewers, stay tuned for more insightful discussions happening in the Indian tech industry with NASSCOM Insights YouTube channel. Please like, share and subscribe. Till then, it's a goodbye from all of us at NASSCOM Insights.